You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt.
Welcome back On Air with Chris Shanafelt as we continue our Player Spotlight series with the 2020 NFL Draft Class. And I'm now joined by the All-American cornerback out of San Diego State, Luq Barcoo. Luq, I appreciate you taking the time tonight. Can you believe that your collegiate career has come to an end, and now here we are less than 2 weeks away from finding out where you'll be playing professionally at?
Man, it's definitely exciting. I've been waiting my whole life for this, so I'm excited to see what the future holds, and I'm staying ready for an opportunity. So, excited.
Yeah, we're right around the corner, no doubt about it. Let's start things off, Luq, by talking about the draft process itself. Back in January, you were able to participate in the East-West Shrine Bowl in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's one of the longest, or it's the longest running all-star game there is, and year after year, they have some of the best prospects playing in their game. What was that experience like, playing in the most historic all-star game there is, while showcasing your talents in front of scouts and decision makers from all 32 NFL teams that week?
It was a great experience. It was a great atmosphere to be in. I had a lot of guys that knew what they were doing around me, and had a lot of NFL coaches, obviously, and stuff like that. So they just put me in an environment to kind of like to mimic what it's going to be like when I eventually land on the team in the NFL. So it's a great experience. It gives you the opportunity to see like what you have to get prepared for in the future as far as what it's like to be an NFL player. So I really liked that experience a lot, and it was cool to be able to compete every day and get better and show some of the scouts kind of some of the things that you're able to do and stuff like that. So it was definitely a great experience. Also seeing like guys like Tom Brady who played in that game, it just means a lot, and it made me feel I just cherish the moment being there.
Yeah, and I know you're one of the standouts throughout the week of practice. Certainly made a great impression to those in attendance throughout the week. What were the conversations like that you had with teams during that week, Luq? Any idea how the NFL is currently viewing you as a prospect at the next level?
A lot of teams definitely like my size and stuff like that. 6'1" corner who can move the way I can move and just grab the ball how I do and stuff like that. So it's cool to get some of their input and stuff like that on what they think of me.
And as they say, the proof is in the pudding, no doubt about it. And we'll talk about the standout career that you had, specifically the big-time breakout senior season that you had this past year. But before we do that, Luq, due to the coronavirus outbreak, the NFL put a stop to most pro days as well as top 30 visits, but you recently had a mock pro day where you really put up some incredible numbers. You measured in at 6'1", 180 pounds. You have 32-inch arms to go with a 75.5-inch wingspan. You ran the 40-yard dash in 4.41 seconds. You had a 6.84 L drill to go with a 41-inch vertical and an 11-foot 3-inch broad jump. You put up those numbers to the cornerbacks, to the defensive backs that were at the NFL Combine, and you would be really right at the top of the list. Where have you been training at for your pro day, and how do you feel about those numbers that you recorded?
I've been training at Bomarito's down in Florida. I've been training for a while now, about three months. So I definitely got a lot faster and stuff like that and stronger. And I feel like I definitely improved my numbers going up there a little bit. But the thing about that is I feel like if I would have did my pro day right after when I was supposed to do it, and if it didn't get canceled due to the coronavirus, I feel like my numbers would have been actually a little bit higher. But I'm definitely satisfied where I tested out recently. And I'm excited for teams to see that video if they haven't already and stuff like that, just to see where I am and just to know that how my athleticism and explosiveness compares to other guys that went to the combine. So I'm glad I was able to get that video, and I feel like it was an overall success.
It certainly was. I mean, not every prospect is putting up those type of numbers. You're certainly in the elite category in terms of athleticism. Did you feel slighted at all, Luq, or was there an added chip on your shoulder because you weren't invited to the NFL Scouting Combine? Did that add any extra motivation into your pro day workout?
I think it definitely added a little bit of motivation, but I mean, it's not nothing I was like disappointed or shocked about. I mean, my whole life I've been overlooked in certain ways and stuff like that, so I'm kind of used to it. So I mean, I've always had a chip on my shoulder, and I just only added like fuel to the fire. So I wasn't too worried about it. I was just optimistic and excited that I had another opportunity to showcase what I can do, and that was through my pro day video. So it was cool.
Again, we're chatting with the 2020 NFL Draft prospect, Luq Barcoo, the cornerback out of San Diego State University. And Luke, prior to landing at SDSU, you were actually at Grossmont College for a couple of years where you're playing both offense and defense, wide receiver and defensive back. You were actually a quality wide receiver there as you recorded 35 receptions for over 760 yards and 7 touchdowns as a sophomore. What was the recruiting process like for you coming out of JUCO, and why did the Aztecs coaching staff think that it would be better for you to play corner instead of wide receiver?
The San Diego State is known for like doing stuff like that. They kind of like spot athleticism, and then even if you play a different position, they kind of like just see where they think you'll fit best in their defense or on their team. So they have a great coaching staff who does a great job with that. So I was talking to Coach Tony White out of JUCO when I had just finished my last season there, and he knew me in high school where I played safety, and I was a really good safety as a high schooler, but unfortunately I wasn't able to go there out of high school. So he kind of already knew I was a defensive back, and then once he saw me play at Grossmont, play wide receiver, that just only added to my. He just looked at me as a versatile athlete who could put me wherever he wanted to, and he decided that corner would be a good spot for me as I was already playing corner at Grossmont, and I was already like letting him know that I wanted to play corner. So it just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it certainly has. I mean, now you're coming off of one of the best seasons we've seen a cornerback have at the collegiate level. No joke. I mean, the stats are one thing. You led the country with 9 interceptions to go with 16 pass breakups, but the film is equally, if not more impressive. Luke, you were a semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award given to the best defensive back in the nation. What allowed you to put a cap on your collegiate career in the fashion that you did as an All-American in 2019, being able to lead the country in interceptions? I mean, it was a breakout season to say the least.
I just knew that it was my senior year and I had to leave with a mark. You know, it was my last opportunity, last chance to show the world what I can do. And if I wanted to get drafted, put myself in a position to get drafted, then that's kind of the steps I had to take to do so. So I just knew that year was a big year for me, and I just gave it my all and locked in completely. And I feel like whatever I lock in like that, that's the result I'm gonna get every time. So I was just doing everything I could to be successful.
And Luke, I'm sure it's always been the dream to play professionally, but for you, when did it hit you that you had a legit shot at turning that dream into a reality? And you know, now here you are, kind of at the doorsteps of the NFL. Just being less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft itself. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, but you've set yourself up pretty nicely here. When did it hit you that you had a legit chance at turning that dream into a reality?
To be completely honest with you, I've always been an extremely confident person, and my whole life I just felt like I was always going to make it to where I wanted to make it to and like be where I want to be at the end of the day, because every team I've always been on, like I've always been like comparing myself to other guys, and I've always been obviously one of the most athletic and stuff like that, and like working one of the hardest. I feel like when you put talent with hard work, anything's possible, and I'm a firm believer in God, and I feel like my faith and stuff like that would allow me to like make it to where I want to make it to. I just got to keep my head down and just keep going forward, and I feel like I don't know, I've always believed like I had what it takes to make it, and now it's definitely playing out.
Again, we're chatting with Luq Barcoo, the standout All-American cornerback out of San Diego State 2020 NFL Draft prospect here on air. And just a couple more questions for you, Luke, and then we'll let you go. Really do appreciate your time. Playing in the Mountain West Conference there at San Diego State, a lot of talent, a lot of talented teams. Whether it's Fresno State, you got Colorado State, and so on and so forth. Who do you think's the best player you've lined up against? It doesn't necessarily need to be a Mountain West Conference opponent either. I mean, it could be an out-of-conference opponent as well, Luke. Is there a specific player or two that comes to mind when thinking about the best players you've lined up against over the years?
That's a hard question for me. I get that question a lot from a lot of teams, and I can't really like name a player off the bat where I feel like this guy was like is incredibly hard to like cover or anything like that. But there is a few decent players. I think one was I think his name was Keyshawn. He played for Fresno State my junior year. He was a pretty good receiver. He plays for the Cardinals now, I believe.
That's right. Keyshawn Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, he just runs a smooth route runner, and he just fits into their scheme, and the offense that they're running pretty good. So I like that receiver a lot.
Well, certainly can't go wrong with a player that turned himself into a NFL draft prospect. How about best or most memorable play that you've made throughout your collegiate career, Luke? It could be dating back to your days at Grossmont or this past season at SDSU. Looking down the road 10, 15 years from now, what will be that first play that comes to mind when thinking of your collegiate football career?
I would have to say our Colorado State game when I recorded my third interception of the game. It was special to me because it was off of three consecutive. It was like, so I intercepted one pass, and then our offense went out there and scored, and then their offense came back out, and then he threw another pass, and I intercepted that one, and then our offense went back out and scored, and then he threw another one, and then I intercepted that. So that third one just really that was just a real memorable moment for me because that's something I've never done before. I've never had three interceptions in a game, and it was just like it was pretty much me making like it was just like a historical moment for the game, for me in the game and stuff like that. So that was one of my favorite moments of my collegiate career for sure.
Well, certainly, I don't think anyone will challenge you on that. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone that has ever had a sequence such as that. I mean, back to back to back interceptions against a conference opponent as well. You cannot go wrong with that. For those not familiar with your game, Luke, how would you describe it? What is your biggest strength that you bring to the defensive backfield?
I just said being able to go up and get the ball, making exciting plays to create turnovers as far as like interceptions and stuff like that. I just got a knack for the ball whenever it's in the air. I'm definitely going to challenge it and try to go up and get it. So I feel like that's one of my favorite and best parts of my game is being able to go get the ball.
You know, I know you've heard it many times, Luke. They say defensive backs, they say cornerbacks are wide receivers that can't catch the football. That's not the case when it comes to you. How much does your wide receiver background help you, any if at all, in terms of the way you cover opposing wide receivers?
I feel it makes a tremendous impact especially because when I'm playing the defensive back position and the ball's in the air, it just feels natural to me to want to go up and get it, as opposed to like a regular DB who's never played receiver. They don't have that same instinct to go catch the ball because you just feel like, I don't know, it's just different playing defensive back than receiver when the ball's in the air. But when the ball's in the air, regardless if I'm playing receiver or defensive back, I still have that same mentality as me wanting to go up and get it and make a play on it. So I feel like that definitely contributes a lot, and it definitely separates me from a lot of defensive backs.
No doubt about it. Is there any current or former NFL defensive backs that you like to study, maybe take bits and pieces of their game and add it onto your own?
Yeah, that's definitely what I do. A lot of guys always ask me, who's your favorite player in the NFL? Who do you like to model your game after? But I don't really have a specific player I like to do that after. It's more so taking bits and pieces from a bunch of variety of players and putting them together. So I like players like Jalen Ramsey. I'll take things from him, or like Darrell Reeves, or like Deion Sanders and Patrick Peterson, just guys like that, guys with a lot of competitiveness and athleticism.
And final question, then we'll let you go. It's a question I end all of my prospect interviews with, and that is, let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're listening to this very interview. Why should they want the standout All-American cornerback out of San Diego State, Luq Barcoo, a part of their team?
I feel like I'm a guy that's been through a lot, that's overcame a lot. So being in the NFL and facing obstacles like I'm going to face in my future, I feel like I'm a player who knows how to handle stuff like that. And a lot of guys haven't been through what I've been through and overcame what I overcame. So I feel like I just have the maturity and the confidence to be able to make it through and be successful in the NFL. And I definitely have the athleticism and stuff like that. So I definitely feel I'm a good fit for any NFL team and any NFL program.
You definitely check off all the boxes. I mean, you're coming off of a standout All-American season, 9 interceptions, a Jim Thorpe semifinalist. You had a great week at the East-West Shrine Bowl down in St. Pete, Florida, and now you're coming off of one of the more impressive pro day performances from this year's draft class. So, Luke, congratulations on all the success up to this point. We're really looking forward to seeing where you land as we are 10 days away from the start of the 2020 NFL Draft. Congrats on all the success and wishing you all the best.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.